Hey, my name is Rob Weiss. I am a therapist. I'm an expert in the area of digital media and human relationships, human intimacy, and sex addiction. I've spent a good deal of time thinking and writing books for men and women who struggle with intimacy disorders of this type. And one of the more challenging populations that I've had to work with, and I relate to it because I too am one of these folks, is gay men. I think it's Pat Carnes that talked about, one of the profound signs of sex addiction is repeated, objectified, anonymous experiences of sex. And unfortunately, as I said earlier, anonymous experiences of sex are kind of baked into gay culture because of all the reasons I spoke of earlier, the cultural reasons why we couldn't necessarily build relationship in more open ways. So, when a gay man is having a lot of anonymous sex, the question for him really is this a sex addiction problem or just a lifestyle? And, all of the usual things apply. Can you stop? If you decide you don't want to do that for a few months, can you do it without a problem? Have you been able to build healthy relationship without all of that anonymous sex? Have you been able to have a longer term relationship and not cheat on that person if they wanted monogamy? Have you been able to be single for a while and not date and not be sexual? These are signs that someone isn't a sex addict. So the same applies. And by the way, I do want to say, to put in a plug for Cruise Control, that if you are a gay man who thinks you're a sex addict, or you're working with someone who thinks they might be a sex addict and they're gay, they need to read the book. This is a book where they will say, oh my God, this is me. I have this problem. I have one of the greatest joys of my life is that I get letters from men in Japan and men in the Caribbean and men in Europe who I never met and I will never speak to, but somehow they got a copy of Cruise Control. And they write me and they say things like, I thought my life problem was being gay. Or I thought my sexual problem had to do with being gay. Or I thought the fact that I kept having all these partners and could never be intimate and never really had a committed, loving relationship was because I was gay. And I read your book and I realized that isn't it at all. I have a problem. I'm a sex addict. It has nothing to do with being gay. Being gay simply has to do with who I'm pursuing for sex. And that is a real gift if you can get a gay man who is a sex addict to be able to separate out what it means to be gay and what it means to be a sex addict and then live accordingly. By the way, just like heterosexual men, there are people, places, and things that most gay men can do that a gay male sex addict can't. It's not a good idea for a gay male sex addict to go into a bar or a bathhouse or a sex club. It's not a good idea for gay male sex addicts to be hanging out in showers at the gym or in saunas with a lot of naked men around. It's not a good idea for a gay male sex addict to be picking up hookup apps or going to escort services. And that is not because they're gay, it's because they are sex addicts. And when people are so devoted to sexually objectifying people and having nameless, anonymous experiences, it's not healthy for sex addicts. I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing for you to do occasionally in college or at the end of a relationship. You go out and have a fling, whatever. But people who are sex addicts do this over and over and over and over again to the detriment of their lives. They get diseases, they get arrested, they lose relationships, they feel wounded and depressed, they hurt themselves and they hurt other people. And that's not because they're gay, that's because they're sex addicts and they've never really been able to draw a line and understand the difference.